What is up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Whiskey Morgue Podcast. We're actually kicking off season two. This is episode one, and I am joined by my friend Chris Dudley from Underoath. We're doing a bunch of things tonight. Yeah, we are going to talk some of their bourbon release. So we have the Three Chord bourbon. We're going to sip through some of that and a few other things. We're going to talk about the new album, which absolutely slaps. The place after this one. And finally, we're going to talk some movies because that's what we do here. We drink whiskey, we talk movies, and we'll talk a bit about what Chris is doing in the film industry in terms of scoring some films. And yeah, I like when I have a whole like mixed bag of things to jump into.
Yeah, I mean, for me, just saying, hey, do you want to get on and drink whiskey and talk about movies? I'm just like, all right, yeah. Like, if we're talking about music too, that's cool, I guess. But just talk about movies and sipping whiskey. I'm in.
That's always my handshake or my offer. I'm like, hey, if I send you some whiskey, can we hang out? I think it's fairly enticing anyway. If you're
yes,
into it, so.
Yeah, and I have one of your samples you sent me. So we'll
sweet. Yeah, we'll put them to use. But before we do that, I think I went back to like we had our discussion before. It was an Instagram live before I had the podcast, and we manifested something. And in that, I said, dude, you need your own whiskey or bourbon brand.
Mm-hmm.
A few years later, we have this bottle here. So
yeah,
I'm not going to say it started with us.
Yeah, I'm not going to like take all the credit, just like some of it. So
no, I actually have zero credit for it, by the way.
Yeah.
But I do know of people involved, including yourself and my friend Jason there, who got to like sit in with Aaron, which was cool and kind of like worlds colliding. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I had nothing to do with Three Chord and the bourbon release, but we did mention it because obviously we had this like a chat, and you mentioned that you love whiskey, and we said it'd be really cool. Do you have yours poured? I'm going to start off with that. So
actually, I have a fresh. I got a fresh bottle here,
fresh
so I'm
crap.
gonna go ahead.
Right.
The last one I got rid of at a party that we had here a little while back. So
I actually this is bottle number 2 for me as well, which is a good sign.
Love it, and I've got I've got like so, and I've got
sweet. Got the glass
like
there
so.
You go. If you're listening in, Chris does have the official Whiskey Morgue glass, and I broke mine, so I have the old.
Oh no! Bummer.
The old version that didn't work out as well when you mass produced them. So
my son dropped this one and it did not break. So I was I was very happy
the quality.
About that. Yeah.
So what's cool while Chris pours this is if you're not watching, we have They're Only Chasing Safety like album cover imposed in the background on the bottle. There was another release too with the new album, right? You guys kind of did like same bourbon, but then it has the new album cover on it as well.
Yeah, there was a different label for it, I believe, but yeah, the same blend.
Sweet. All right, let's cheers. Let's have a sip
cheers.
first, and
yeah. Man, I know I'm biased, but I really like that. Like, it's funny because you'd mentioned that Jason, who worked with Aaron on this, got to sit in on it. And full disclosure, like so much of this, I would say 95% of this happening was Aaron, our drummer and singer, because he is like a whiskey madman. Like he's insane with it. Like he's got such good taste, such a good nose, and when this had been, the idea had been brought up to do this, like basically he was just like the kid in the back of the class, like just freaking out, raising his hand. He was like, I want to spearhead this. I want to do it. And he went and like 100% of this is him sitting with the Three Chord guys, sitting with Jason and coming up with it. And after they got the blend, they sent, because it was just him in the room, because they did it in Nashville and he's the only one that lives there. Mm-hmm. And after they got the blend, they got 5 small sample bottles and they sent each of us one so that we could taste it. It was full disclosure. It was basically a, hey, speak now or forever hold your peace. Like,
yeah,
I hope you like it, because I don't know if we're going to go back and change it, because Aaron was super happy with it.
Yeah.
And I went into it being like, all right, like we'll see. And first sip, I was like, oh dang, like I really, really like it. And I hit our manager up after I tasted the sample bottle, and I was like, hey, I want to get like cases of this stuff because I want to be sipping on this for like years. So yeah,
Yeah.
I really like it.
When I heard about it, and before I even got the bottle, I think actually when it's smooth. Don't worry.
Window, I went down the wrong tube.
Oh shit.
It's okay. It's fine. I swear it tastes so good. You know, man.
When we hung out, I had never even tasted it yet. I was waiting on my bottle to show up. But that being said, like I knew it would be good. And again, it sounds biased, but like I knew Aaron was involved. I know Aaron's passionate about it. But even then, like you being a whiskey fan, and I'm not too sure about the others in the band, but like then having your approval and getting that stamp and being like, yeah, this is absolutely delicious. Let's go ahead with it. You know it's going to be a good product. And I would say like for me, the reason why this product stands out is I've been talking lately about how there's been a little bit of burnout in like whiskey collecting in terms of people are chasing like expensive bottles, and I've been there too. But now you want that like bottle that tastes more expensive, but it's like also crushable, and you don't mind bringing it out. And I might sip it. A friend might mix it in a drink. That's absolutely fine. So this bottle kind of like ticks all those boxes for
I agree.
me personally. And it kind of like tastes like I always, well, the first time I taste it, it kind of tastes like and this is a good term, like a dusty bourbon, like kind of like you found like an old 80s wild turkey bottle. There was always like these like pronounced like butterscotch notes. Like everyone says caramel when you're tasting bourbon usually, but like this one has a lot of like really nice butterscotch notes. And yeah, like just absolutely like, hit out of the park with this, man. So
Thank you very much. Yeah, and I know that we actually just got hit up not that long ago that it won. I forget the name of it. I don't have my phone handy, or I would look. But some sort of it was like a silver award at some event, and yeah. I honestly I just wish that there was more of it because I think we are at the end of the run of it, unfortunately. Because I would honestly probably get more because I think I got like three. I ordered like 3 cases, but I'm like, man, like I'll take more. But thankfully, can't say a whole lot about it yet. But we're working with another distillery on a new blend. Aaron's got this. He got this wild idea. And we had a meeting about it the other day, and honestly, I can't believe it's happening. I'll tell you when we're recording.
When we say our fake goodbyes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this has been great.
Yeah,
Movies.
We're just gonna wrap it up right here. But yeah, you know what? Like I talk about like there's been a lot of like talk in the whiskey side of like celebrity whiskeys and bourbons or whatever, and I'm always like all for it, especially when people are hands on and like it's legit. Like you drink whiskey, Aaron drinks whiskey, maybe the other guys do too. Like Aaron's literally in the room blending it, then sending it to the bandmates and being like, "What do you think?" Like it's not just like I mean, as much as I love the label, and it looks super cool on a shelf. It's not just that. It's not just like some cash grab where it's like, "Hey, you're a fan of the band." It's something to be proud of, and I think it was cool that you were in liquor stores like signing bottles and doing.
Oh, we were like so into it, and that's the thing is like again, it sounds so like oh man, like. We love this whiskey. Come get a bottle. But we drink it on the road like all the time. And when we were talking to our management, and we're like, hey, like we're going to be out on tour. We've got days where we're not really doing anything. Like if there are stores that are selling it, like we'll just stop in, sign some bottles, hang out. Awesome. And the idea of it being, hands-on for at least one of us is kind of like that's a deal breaker because if it's not at least one of us doing the work and like putting in the time to make it what we want it, or at least what some of us want it, because there's some dudes in the band that aren't super into whiskey, then it's just somebody else creating a product and then slapping our name on it and then selling it, which is not very us really.
Yeah.
So,
and I feel like if there was like a through line, like even getting to know you guys and over the years, it's just like the idea of honesty, and I think we'll touch back on that after. I wanted to bring that up, but the idea of like just being like honest with yourselves and as a group, I feel like it's something that if you listen to like past interviews, it's always kind of repeated, whether it be the business side of things, like making music. And I think like that resonates with people. Like it's a whole other connection to be able to like meet the guys from Underoath if you're a fan and you like whiskey. And now you get to like, yeah, you're on your lunch break. You can't come to the show, but you can pop in and grab a bottle of whiskey
Yeah.
and connect that way. And I feel like, even without being in the business, you see that it's changed so much. So I feel like, yeah, just making those connections is such an integral part, I think, of like just like, keeping people invested and kind of keeping that community thriving in terms
Yeah,
of
and
like,
it was cool also to see, just meeting the people that own the stores that were selling it. Because that was a whole other side of it. Where for us, we're not in this business.
yeah.
Really, this is something that we got to do that was really cool, and we happen to be able to go and meet a bunch of people. So to kind of be able to talk to them as well and see on that side of the counter was that's been really cool.
So you mentioned like all hands on deck, or at least like being involved, and I think this is a good segue into the newest album because usually like I want to jump in and tackle movies with you, and we're gonna get there, but I've been making crazy gains in the gym because of this album.
Yeah, I didn't want to see anything, but man, you're looking ripped.
Even just like the shoulders, just like up here, we're good. Some energy drinks and the album combined have been ample caffeine, ample amount of the new album. So the place after this one, I wanted to talk about it because the first thing is that like online there was like some insight into like you guys building the album, and at least like in terms of like being online, like I can't remember if I ever seen something of like Underoath making an album. I'm sure it's the internet. There's things out there, but you guys picked this beautiful cabin, like I don't know if it's an Airbnb or whatever it case may be, but this is like it looked like this like remote cabin, but like luxury. We're not talking like Evil Dead. We're not venturing into that territory, but it was really cool. Yeah. And what was awesome is that like it seemed like it was like one big room setup. Which again, like, and we'll talk about whether like how, if this was like a change up from what you've done in the past, but there's one big room. At some points, like you're recording something and Aaron's like making a cocktail or like putting snacks together in the kitchen. So was this like something that you intentionally did that was like a change up from the past in terms of like finding this like remote location, everyone showing up at a house and deciding to record the new album?
Yeah, so we had never done an album like that before. Really what it came down to was we had blocked off an amount of time to write and just get together and work on ideas, and we knew that we wanted to be away from home. Because I've got my studio, Tim's got a studio, Aaron's got a studio, but if we work where we live, we tend to be more available to, obviously available to our families, available to our friends. Like, hey, what are you doing on Thursday? It's like, oh, well, we're working on a thing, but let's go out, that sort of thing. Yeah. And we wanted to get away to where we could say, hey, we're going away for a week, we're going away for 2 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever it is. And we found this Airbnb it was outside of Atlanta. It's in the Blue Ridge Mountains. And we were looking for somewhere that just had a nice view, because we knew that we wanted to, have a hot tub and just be able to look out over the mountains and just be secluded and just be able to be there in it. And we got there and it was just a house, just an Airbnb. And honestly, not a very expensive one. It was just so much cheaper than a studio. Yeah. And we took all the furniture in the living room and we put it out on the porch. And there was a covered porch and we covered it all with tarps. And we set up an entire studio in there, because with the pictures that you would see, you're looking at this big window, but that was a living room with couches and and tables and everything. We just took it all out. We Frankensteined all of our studios together, like all the best equipment. It's like, oh, I have the best monitors, I have the best interface, I have the best this, that, and we just brought everything. And we did that to write. And when it came time to actually record, we were like, we're just going to go back there because that was such a great experience. And there is something to being just holed up together in a place. And, you know, they converted one of the rooms in the basement to a movie theater. Oh, and cool. So we would write and record all day. And then, you know, depending on what kind of a groove we were on, we would be done. Aaron would cook dinner. We would eat, we would go down, we'd watch a movie or two, drink some, hang out, get in the hot tub, go to sleep, and then wake up and do it again the next day. The recording of the album ended up being right about a month, 3.5 weeks ish. But yeah, it was just a super unique environment for us. And, you know, obviously, you know, we're super stoked on the record, and, you know, the fact that it all came out of, you know, us being all in one place, and, you know, just kind of having that vibe was yeah, very cool.
It's amazing what you can do, like, in terms of recording. Like, you remember, like, you watch things from, like, even as not too long, like the 90s, and like a huge studio. I mean, that's still available, obviously. Mm-hmm. But the fact that, like, you're just like Frankensteining pieces of different studios, bringing them into an Airbnb and recording an album that's absolutely phenomenal, is killer. And I feel like the reason why I wanted to talk about, like, the cohesiveness, because I feel like it resonates in the music. And like, I mean, I dig all your stuff, but this album here, it just felt like, I don't know, maybe because I had some insight, maybe there's some bias, but it just seemed like, you know, like from start to finish, it was very much like you guys, but also like venturing into new territory. And I always say, like, a good album for me is where, like, the favorite song changes every few weeks. So when this album came out, like, All the Love Is Gone, I'm like, that's amazing. The beginning, like the synth part, I'm like, this could be in a slasher movie, and I'm bumping that. And then I was like, oh, like, Spinning's really good too. And then Devil, and then it's just like week after week, I kept switching, like, what my favorite song was. This is hence why my shoulders are just looking phenomenal.
They're just bursting out of your shirt. Yes.
But yeah, it was like, it's like a great album like that. It's not just like, you know, your 2 or 3 songs that you enjoy. For you, was there like a song where you were recording and you're in the room there where, like, it clicked for you? Like, maybe a song that, like, really, like, you're like, oh, I can't wait to play this live, or just kind of gave you the goosebumps off the bat?
Yeah, I think probably the 2 that stand out that were the most immediately exciting were Generation No Surrender and Teeth. Because those both happened really quickly. Like, I think those were both basically done, like 90% done within a day. Like, it took a day on both of those.
Wow.
Which for us is really quick. We normally don't work that quick at all. So those were both super exciting, and particularly Generation No Surrender. That was an immediate live one where I was like, man, this song is going to rip live. And we've basically played it every night since the record came out. And it's for me, it's always a highlight. Like, it's always a, yeah, but one of my favorite
in Toronto,
parts
you
of the
guys
night.
played those exact 2 songs. So, like, the night that we hung out there, like, it was, so you did, They're Only Chasing Safety. It was like the 20-year anniversary. And I think the Smoke came out. It was like, you're going to the next part of the set, and then Teeth came on. I'm like, yes. And this is why, like, it's cool that, and I wanted to get into later about kind of like doing cool new stuff and remaining relevant, even though you have, like, these really strong, iconic albums that you've put out in the past. But yeah, and then Generation No Surrender, when that came on, I think it was like the second that you've played it live. I think The City Before Us got it. I saw online, but man, just like seeing the crowd, like, chant that, and that's a new song. So how cool of a feeling is that you're, like, debuting music, but people are already kind of like chanting that back at you. And I was like, yeah, there's something special here for sure.
Yeah, that was very cool, and it still is very cool. Like, the first night debuted that song. We didn't even play it. Austin, and we wanted to shoot like a live video for it, but we weren't ready to play the song yet. But we wanted to like shoot a video for it. So literally at the end of the set, normally where we would have walked off, Spencer's just like, hey, we're going to play this song over the PA. We're going to pretend like we're playing it, and you guys just lose your minds if you want to be in a music video.
Yeah, cool.
And we did it. It was at Stubbs in Austin.
Oh,
and
iconic,
it just, oh, dude, it was so fun. Like it was, I couldn't believe it. It was such a good time. And then basically immediately we were like, all right, we have to start playing this song live. So yeah, it's been cool.
That's awesome. On the flip side, and I was curious to ask this, like, was there a song that, I know you guys are all like, again, like, you're very much like everyone has to kind of like give the okay to kind of move forward with work.
Mm-hmm.
But was there a song that for you particularly that grew on you after? Like you maybe initially you were like, I don't know where this is going, and then you're like, oh shit, like there is something cool here that you kind of just went with the band members.
Yeah, for me, Vultures is that song. Because that was a song that Spencer brought to the table, and he was very he loved, like, even just from the get-go, he was just like, this song rips, I'm so excited. And me and Tim were a little more on the like, yeah, it's cool, we'll see where it goes, but we went all in on it. And now we're playing that song a lot live as well, and it's connecting like really well live. And it's one of those that really I leaned on Spencer, because I was like, man, if he is this excited about this song, there's something to it. It's not a thing that speaks immediately to me, but that's part of being in a band as long as we have. It's being able to trust the other guy's tastes and what it is that they like. And I'm just that song
what's actually
is a ton
wild
of fun.
that you mentioned is like, and maybe me and you have some aligned tastes here, but like when I listened to the album, I asked my wife, like, Mal, you got to meet her, and I was like, so like, what's your favorite song on the album? She's like, Vultures, and I was like,
yeah,
I was like, really? And I enjoy it, but I was like, wait, I think there's so many others that I like more, right? And obviously everyone has their preferences. But then that kind of rose to the top in terms of being like, oh, this song is actually much better than I thought originally.
What's funny is you're saying that your wife had mentioned that we did a cruise, this thing called the Emo's Not Dead cruise. Last year. We were playing, we did this thing called Locus Ultra, where like, we wanted to just be able to play the whole new record and not have any expectation of playing Underoath songs. We were like, we just want to do this cool thing for this record. So we like made this whole other band. We had all Mad Masks on. It was like this whole thing. And we went on this cruise, and we played 2 sets as this band. We just played the new record from front to back. And the first night we got done playing, my wife hadn't really heard the record up till this point, because she obviously is like wicked supportive, and she loves us as people, but she's not really into heavy music, so she's that she hadn't really heard much of the record. After the first show, she was like, what is that Vulture song? She was like, that song's really good. And I didn't know, but after the next show, Grant's wife literally said the same thing to him. She's like, yeah, it was all really cool, but that Vulture song is awesome. And like, for some reason, and our kids really like that song. And we were just like, yeah, sure. All right.
So Spencer was on to something, man. He
had
the vision. Yeah. But
he knew something.
That's
yeah.
what's cool, I think, about like that, that like you trust, I guess, like you get to a point where like, obviously you have a say in what parts, yay or nay or whatever you like. But that idea of like being this far in your career and being like, yeah, you know what? I don't really see it just yet, but like you're pumped and we're going to ride with it. And then you have songs that is just impressing everyone's wives.
Wives are super into this.
The release of Vultures.
Wives hate this one trick.
That's marketing gold right there. Um, so okay, I like that you mentioned like okay, I didn't know the mask thing. That's cool. Like, we're gonna get like masks and we can delve into like, obviously my obvious love for horror and stuff, but didn't know you did that on the cruise where you had like these like secret sets and playing the whole
Mm-hmm.
album in full. But it brought me back to like again, like when I listen to your stuff as a fan, um, like voyeurist, man, like I love voyeurist, and that's like that's like it
Thank
happened
you.
during pandemic, and it's like pandemic album. Also, I also noticed that I really like the last song on every album, so like pneumonia and
Mm-hmm.
on the what's it, outsider
Yeah.
on the new one. I don't know what it is, and I feel like there's almost like this. Maybe it's by chance where like both are a little bit more melodic and like drawn out, and there's like a lot of cool things
Mm-hmm.
happening. But my whole point is that like I almost forget sometimes like when I came to the tour and it's like they're only chasing safety 20th anniversary. I'm like, oh shit, like I can sing along to those songs too. But like this is a band where all their recent albums are amazing, and that's what I listen to more than anything. And I feel like it's a rarity because we know like even the emo's not dead cruise. It's like the elder emo and millennials. Like we love joking around about it, but there are bands who
Yeah.
I feel like got caught in like the nostalgic trap where it's like, okay, cool, like people love that album, but can you put out a new one and then have it like really take off and be successful? Why do you
Mm-hmm.
think that maybe you guys have kind of like escaped that and you're able to continue to put out like really good new music and not just like ride older albums?
I don't know. Like, I think that there's a huge part of it that is just that's kind of what we've always done. I've talked about this, somewhat often, but as a band, when we write music, we're very we're always just kind of wanting to write the thing that we are feeling in the moment.
Mm,
And we, if I think back to, when we did They're Only Chasing Safety, when we were writing that, at the time, we were coming off a much heavier record. We were on tour with mostly like hardcore metal bands. And I remember being in the studio when there's like all this singing and it's super melodic. And, looking back, I think we were just kind of over all the heavy stuff.
yeah.
And we weren't intentionally trying to go in a different direction. That's just kind of the way it naturally happened. And then, that record came out and did really well for us. And, when we were working on Define the Great Line, which was the record that came out directly after that, everybody was telling us, go in the, make bigger choruses, make more melody,
Mhm.
Go Jimmy Eat World, Fall Out Boy, like, and you guys will be
Yeah.
huge, but that just wasn't really what we were feeling at the time. And we put out Define the Great Line, which was, a lot, objectively a lot heavier, a lot less melodic than They're Only Chasing Safety. So, but it did really well for us as well. And, I think every record since then, people recognize, I think, that we're just writing what we're feeling in the moment. And
Yeah.
I hope that they recognize that, like, hey, if this record comes out and I like it, cool. If I don't, there's going to be another one in a year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever,
Yeah.
And, and I look at some of my favorite bands and it's a similar thing. Like I look at, I love Deftones. I love Nine Inch Nails. And those are bands that, if you were to ask like the public at large, it's like, Deftones, yeah, they have that White Pony album. That's great.
Yeah.
But it's like, for me, I'm like, like so many of their albums they've put out recently have been sick. But at the same time, like I didn't really like that Gores record they put out. And I was fine with not really digging it. I wasn't like, oh my gosh, what happened to Deftones? I was just like,
Yeah.
this one isn't hitting for me, but let's see what they have coming up next, And same with
Yeah.
Nine Inch Nails. They're one of my favorite bands, but I always know what they're going to put out is they're not just like writing a Nine Inch Nails record. Like they are doing something that they're feeling and they're creating in the way that they do. And they've put out albums that, I'll listen to once and I'm just like, nope, Not for
Yeah.
me. I can't wait to hear what they do next, you know? But even then, even like Nine Inch Nails, you look at them and it's like, oh, you know, Downward Spiral, that's that band. And it's like, yeah, but have you paid attention to what they've been doing for the past 20 years, you know?
Yeah.
And those tend to be the bands and the artists that we that we connect with the most as listeners, the five of us. So I think maybe that's why, we are in a spot where we do just kind of write whatever we're feeling at the time. And I also think there's an element of being okay if people don't like something, because I think that if you're writing something because you think that the audience wants to hear it, then that's going to like become a whole different thing.
Yeah.
And so for us anyway, it's just a matter of saying we love this. I hope people love it, and if they don't, we're going to keep writing anyway. So
I think it comes back to like that honesty piece, right? And just kind of like being honest and making what you want, but also like, even as a listener, I mean, again, I dabbled in music myself, but I like the idea of like being stagnant is like terrifying, like where you're just like, okay, we're going to keep trying to like redo that album. And I'm like, on the surface level, I'm sure there's certain fans who are like, yeah, like they should keep making They're Only Chasing Safety over and over again. And it's like, would you actually like that? You know what I mean? Like I always say like,
oh no, they wouldn't
when
at
I went
all.
to go see, when I went to go see Metallica, they did like the 2 nights and they started throwing in, Saint Anger songs, and people were like, holy shit, they're playing a Saint Anger song. I'm like, do you remember how you felt when that album came out? Like, even just like, again, there are some albums where you're just like, yeah, you know what, doesn't do it for me. Again, there'll be a next one, and you can commend maybe like where they were venturing off and trying new things. But like, at the same time, songs grow too, and like the album grows, and sometimes with different perspective or hindsight, you're like, oh, you know what, I actually do like that. So I found it funny that like people were like cheering those songs on, even though they got trashed for Saint Anger for years. And I think like, like even like when I think about like Teeth, I think Teeth was it the first single that you guys put out off the album?
Yeah,
intentionally,
and that was so polarizing
as well.
Yes,
so clever. And myself, I'm like, genius, because you have like, and you don't want to like knock anybody, but there's people like, this is not Underoath, like, and you're like, okay. And even though still, like, regardless of how you feel, but for me, myself personally, like that intro, like just like the change up, I'm all there. How you guys came out after like They're Only Chasing Safety and started the next set with that song, I'm like, oh, here we go. And yeah, like I feel like, just seeing comment sections and people like, no, but don't worry, like it's still Underoath, and other people are like, no, but like that's not their sound. And I'm like, and then sure enough, you get the whole album and it slaps, and there's bits of like, I feel like it's just a perfect marriage between old and new. But
it's funny because there was I vividly remember the discussion that we had with our label where they were trying to figure out what songs they wanted to release in what order, and initially, I think it was going to be like Shame or All the Love Is Gone were going to come out first. And I remember saying like, man, I think that people are going to love those songs, but I would much prefer to put out something that's going to be like obviously more polarizing, because then it's not going to be Underoath released this song. Yeah, that's good. Okay, now what do we do? Like the idea of putting out something because what we said by the end of this call, which was when we decided to put Teeth out first, was half the people are going to love this, half of them are going to absolutely hate it, and they're all going to be very vocal about how they feel about it.
Yeah.
And literally the first day that song come out, we were just like, all right, well, at least people are talking about the record now. It's not just like, oh yeah, Underoath put out this good song. So I was happy with how that turned out.
No, that's genius, because again, like you're in people's mouths, and people are talking about it, and like you could have played it safe, and it just would have been like, it's another good Underoath song, and but I feel like the album's eclectic. It has a bit of everything. The one thing I did want to mention is that like I feel like because you kind of like are able to play the older stuff, play the newer stuff, it's afforded you to be on tour forever. Which could be a good and bad thing. But right now, like you're about to head out. By the time this comes out, you'll probably just be heading out with Papa Roach on the second leg of the tour. You guys are opening for them, which I mean, and they've had a renaissance, man. Like, let me tell you, like I watched them in 2017 at like the Opera House in Toronto. It
Hmm.
was I think the Danforth of the Opera House, and like now they're back in arenas selling
Yeah.
out, which is cool. So it's nice to kind of see that with like fellow bands. But for yourself, is it fun being the opener again? Like jumping on these bigger tours and kind of playing your 30 minutes and be like, yo, we're just gonna play all new stuff and hit the ground running.
It's the best. Like, whether or not we are playing all new stuff, like the idea of being an opener, we will take that any day of the week. That is always our most preferred thing. One, because when you're not headlining, there's a lot less pressure because you know that the crowd isn't they're not all there to see you. So there's less pressure. There's also for us, like, even though we've been doing this as long as we have, there's an element of like needing to prove ourselves
Yeah.
where we feel like, all right, we need to go like make fans out of these people. A lot of them might not even know who we are. We got to uh, make it worth their while to be here. So there's that. And there, if I'm honest, there's just the logistical thing as well, where rather than playing an hour and 20 minutes, we're playing 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So like you can just go balls to the wall the whole time. Like you don't have to have a ton of dynamic. It's just on 10 the whole time.
Yeah.
And then like we did the first leg of that Rise Against Papa Roach tour, and like by 8 o'clock every night, I had a shower, I had eaten dinner. I was watching Rise Against and Papa Roach, just sitting, hanging out, FaceTiming my kids, whatever. So that was sick. Always prefer to support. Headlining is its own, its own special thing. But I think I would rather do that less often. That way, when we do it, it's like special and So
Yeah, it's cool. And I think like, just being able to know that you only have that 30 minutes and just go crazy. That energy video you put out too, that was fun.
And that was like the next to last song of the set. Like normally that would be in the set where we're like, all right, we're starting to get warmed up, and I always am just like, oh, we got one song left. Like I'm just breaking a sweat. So yeah.
That's awesome. One other thing before we kind of get into like the movie side of things, I thought it was funny where like you get to tour with like a whole bunch of different bands, and I feel like you did like a tour with Bad Omens before, and again talking about straddling again like being relative and new and fresh, and then having the older stuff. You've toured with a lot of like younger bands, up and coming bands as well. Is there anyone on the wish list that like anyone you're into recently that you would love to tour with? Is there any like bands that come to mind?
Oh, yeah. We're actually in the middle of talking to some bands right now because we're doing a tour in 2026 and we're trying to figure out we're headlining. We're trying to figure out who's opening it. But personally, I would love to. I love there's this band called Soul Blind that I recently got turned on to.
Okay.
I love that band. I would love to bring them out at some point. I would love to, because we've toured with, we did a tour where Spirit Box was opening and Bad Omens was opening.
Yeah.
And I would love, Bad Omens is obviously monsters now, so I would love to go out with them again and be able to play in front of their crowd. I think that would be sick. They're not new at all, but we've never toured with Manchester Orchestra, and that is a band that we all love, that we have wanted to tour with forever. So I would love for that to happen at some point. We had thrown around the idea of going out with Bill Murray. I think that would be super interesting.
Yeah.
There's I actually have a whole note, like a wish list of bands. We love the dudes in House of Protection. I'd love to tour with them at some point.
That's crazy. I was just gonna say like that would be my pick for you guys to tour with, like House of Protection.
They're great. They're awesome.
Man, like I mean, again, obviously kind of coming from different projects and whatnot, but like I've been seeing like their live clips and Steve just climbing rafters and being in
Oh,
the
he's a
middle of the mosh
madman.
pit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like just such a crazy energy. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned them because like they were right at the top where I'm like, if I got to see anyone like open for you guys, like, and I know like they're in that spot where they're probably I'm guessing they're with architects right now, or they're going to be anyway, I guess.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that'd be
I'm hoping we'll be out with them soon because, yeah, I think our teams are talking, so we'll see what
yeah,
comes of it. But yeah, we love those guys. We've known them for a long time, and we've toured with, other bands of theirs
yeah.
before, so we've been out on the road with them, and yeah, we just love those guys. They're great.
So just before I pour a new drink, one last music thing, I guess. Well, not music thing, but like band touring. Um, did you know that there's rumors about Underoath members being in the group presidents?
I didn't
You
know that. No,
so
I
let
had no
me
idea.
yeah. So let me it's pretty funny because there's Reddits and threads out there, all sorts. But so there's the group presidents. They emerged, and I guess like the people now have caught on that I believe it's Charlie Simpson who is the vocalist for
Hmm.
them. So Fight Star, and they're all masked, and he wears this like old man mask. And when they emerged, they followed six accounts on Facebook, and it was like Deftones, The Cure, and Underoath was one of them. So
Hmm.
everyone was just like, "Oh, is this like a message of like certain people who are in these bands are part of part of
Yeah.
presidents?" So I thought it'd be fun just to mention that if you had heard this rumor that like one or
No,
many of you
I
guys are in presidents.
No, I had heard that in passing that they were following us on something,
Yeah.
but I kind of we all kind of found out about them. I think about the same time everybody else did when they were just started posting stuff,
Yeah.
um, where I don't think it's like secret knowledge or anything, but we have the same booking agent, so like
Okay, yeah,
I've heard
that was another, yeah. Like
yeah, so
clue.
maybe that had something to do with it. Yeah, because our,
Yeah.
our our friend Nick both, but he books us and them, so that may have been part of it.
Okay, yeah. I love when like, like that's why I love the good masked mystery, if we kind of segue into movies, just
Yeah,
like people like they're masked and they're following Under Oath and maybe Chris is running synths in
yeah.
presidents and
Well, tell him to call me.
yeah.
I'll have some time off coming up. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. You can fill in a few dates. Before we move on, I don't know if you're ready for another pour, but I definitely am. And I'm making you crack another bottle again. So
oh yeah. What are we
I
doing?
have this rare
I
character
love it.
limited release. This is batch number 2 from 2024. Um, what's cool, I guess, I never thought about it because when you and I were kind of just like spitballing what to drink via text. The rare character was a big one because that's what we drank when we hung out that night, right? So it was like I guess the Brook
Yeah.
Hill
Hmm.
rare character, and I was like, oh, fitting. Also, this is just excellent stuff. So I figured
I
you'd
haven't.
enjoy
Yeah, I
cracking it
haven't had
open.
it yet. I got the bottle a while back, and I hadn't opened it. What bottle number is yours?
Mine is 1356.
Yeah, I've got 1345. So we're close. Look at
We're
that.
close. There you go.
Yeah, love it. Yeah, I'll
Yeah,
break
as you
this
can see,
open.
I've been enjoying it because there's quite a dent in there. But honestly,
Yeah,
this
let me
is one I've been sharing with a lot of people as well.
see what we got here. I
And
have,
good on them for having a better wax. Some people's wax you'd have to wrestle with for a first time open.
little behind the music. I opened one because I've got four different rare character bottles, and I've only opened one of them, and it took me 10 minutes to get the wax off. So before we started, I got a little box cutter and I got a
Dude,
little
I was gonna
thing.
say
So yeah.
I've never seen a rare character bottle open that fast.
Oh
And I
no,
was
yeah,
like,
it
holy
took me
shit,
a
Chris has it
second.
down. I'm like, how do you do it?
All right. Freaking A. Let's see what we got here. All right.
So, I guess if we just quickly talk about the whiskey. So, Chad as well from Rare Character. He kind of he does their single barrel stuff. He does their blends. And this kind of has been his venture.
Yeah, we've
kind of,
met Yeah, I know him more so through Aaron again. You know, we've
Yeah.
met, but we don't really know each other very well.
Yeah, like in Whiskey World, like Chad, he was already kind of a personality, got taken on by Rare Character, and then joined them and started doing these blends. And this was kind of his project to be like, because Rare Character was known for their cool single barrels and different things that they put out. And this was the first time they started putting out like a lot of like blended products. And yeah, I'm a huge fan of it, as you can tell. So
This is really good. It's got like a good bit of sweetness to it, which I wasn't really expecting. That's
yeah,
really
and this
good.
is 110 proof pretty much,
Yeah,
55.26. So it's up there in proof. Really nice
that's
and
really
sweet.
good. Yeah,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, you can see why I've been dipping into it quite a bit.
No, that was a good call. You said to to bring this one on. I,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's right. And,
I wasn't saving it for anything crazy special. I just hadn't gotten around to opening it yet. So
okay,
that's
good. Yeah,
perfect.
I felt bad because I'm like, hey, like you sent over. I'm like, hey, we have the samples. I'm like, but that rare character is really, really good.
Yeah.
And I
No,
wasn't sure
dang,
if
that is
maybe,
really good. Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
So one of the main reasons why we even connected in the first place, obviously I was a fan of the band, and one of the first times I saw you do like a live video, there was the masks in the background, and we got into like talking film. Then I found out you score film, which is crazy. And
Yeah.
Bad Candy had just come out when, or not just come out, but it was like a more of a recent release at the
It's around
time.
the time. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and there was a few projects there. But the buzz right now is Plastic Men.
Yeah.
And I watched the trailer the other day, and like first of all, I watched the trailer not knowing you were part of it, and
Oh,
which is
okay.
cool.
Cool.
And I made a note of like the music in it,
Okay.
and just because I like doing that, like sitting down with like the trailer, and here I find out you're like, hey, cat's out of the bag. Like I did the score
Yeah.
for this. But just like so many things stood out. And I mean, when does the film come out?
Oh man, you know,
Not to put you on the spot,
I
but it's not out
no,
yet. The whole point is not it's not
no,
out
no.
yet.
I think it's later this week. I don't remember the day. I need to know that. I'm doing really bad job at promoting right now. I'm actually going to look this up. Hold on one second. And then we can edit this to make it look like I
Yeah, yeah.
really
We'll plug it right in.
know. Yeah. July 29th. Plastic Man comes out July 29th. There we go. Yeah, now I won't get in trouble. Yeah.
Yeah, so like watching that trailer, obviously, so there's no spoilers here because I've only watched the trailer, but from what you gather, it's I believe it's a Vietnam War vet who's returned home, and there's so much that happens. And it's weird because I can't even like contextualize like a summary of it, but there's so much that happens where like he returns home and he's obviously dealing with like PTSD and and how he's coping with like day-to-day life, which is a very obviously we know a very real thing. But it's crazy how like this becomes it starts to manifest into like body horror, and you're like almost like well from what I gather is if there was like a physical manifestation of these demons or like these feelings and how they arise. But from watching it, like I mentioned, just like the trailer, like the melodic pieces that you wrote in there, and then how it's like
Also,
so
full
tense.
disclosure, I didn't score the trailer. I
Okay.
think there may have been some elements from the score that they used for that, but yeah, that was not my thing. But it works with it. What's there works really well.
Yeah, and like right away, I was just like, okay, like it's a really cool story. I think it's like it's something that's familiar, but like taking this like, um, sorry, you just broke off for a second. I'm just gonna, yeah.
Oh,
So for me,
sorry about that.
it's okay. Like I said, editing's the beauty of editing. I'm glad I'm
Oh
not like a,
gosh. Oh yeah, no, and I don't know why. You know what? I'm gonna try something here to see if this helps because I don't know if it's on my end or not. But all right, there. See if that helps at all. Okay.
okay. Um, what was I saying again? The trailer. Okay.
You're talking about the trailer melodic elements. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So it's a very like real story. Obviously, it's dealing with war. It's dealing with a soldier suffering from PTSD. But then, like I said, you get this like horror thriller side of it. So I was just curious in general, even how this project came up for you. How did it land on your table in terms of you getting to score it?
Yeah, so the writer director Sam Gonzalez, I connected with him a few years back. Initially connected through some mutual friends online, and then I was out in LA. We were on tour, and we ended up meeting up and going and getting dinner before a show. We met and we're talking, and he told me that he was working on this, and I had worked with him prior to meeting him. Actually, there was a film that he did called oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm blanking on it right now. Night of the Missing.
Okay.
And I had scored. It was I had scored a wraparound score for that. For a couple, there was a couple different sections in it, but I had scored the wraparound section of it. And it was a remote thing. It was fairly quick. I think I was done in like 2 weeks or something like that.
Wow.
And so we met up, and he had told me the idea for this film. And one, he's a writer director. Two, he's a veteran. His story of going to war and coming back is one of the more insane things you'll ever hear. I won't get into like the whole thing, but he, ended up actually starting a band when they were over there, and he played music with these guys, and he was one of the only ones that actually made it back.
Wow.
And so this story in general comes from a real place for him. But it's also based on a true story of a Vietnam War veteran who had put out a classified ad looking for somebody. I don't want to give too much away, but
Yeah.
it was based on a real guy. And when he had told me the beats that the film was going to have, and the general feel that it was going to have, and how it was going to be walking this interesting line between horror and true life drama, but then also having like a lot of really emotional moments as well. That's really what hooked me, because for me, it wasn't necessarily even the horror elements. It was like the really emotional stuff that drew me to it, because I hadn't really been in a position where I was able to work that muscle of mine before.
Yeah.
'Cause most of the stuff that I've done, it's all, for the most part, all been pretty dark. Been some emotional stuff here and there, but for this, we really needed to lean into that. And that was what really hooked me. And, I think I got done. It took me about 5 or 6 weeks to do the score. We went back and forth a lot, because Sam was very adamant. He was like, we need to, like, this emotional stuff really needs to hit. He was mentioning like, Alan Silvestri type stuff.
Yeah.
And, that was stuff to me. I was just like, oh, cool. Like, let's do it. But,
Yeah.
it was a back and forth. And, I'm honestly just so thankful that I was able to work on it. I think it's super important. Any story that's able to highlight that struggle of coming back home from something like that and trying to adjust to real life, after, potentially doing like crazy things over there and witnessing awful
Yeah.
things. And, I think that's super important. But in general, the movie's just really cool. Like I was like, there were so many times when I was working on it where I was looking at the scene before there was even music. I'm like, man, this is just so good. Like,
Yeah.
and also I would hit him up on the side. I'm like, yo, like, how were you able to do this? Like, how are you able to afford that? And like the way that they were able to stretch a budget and make do with what they had. And, the movie looks like $1 million. It's very, very cool.
Well, yeah, that's why I went watching it, like the trailer. I wasn't sure if it like obviously, I gather that it's like an indie release, but the production quality seemed like this is ready to
Oh,
go into theaters tomorrow.
absolutely.
And like the yeah, and even just like knowing what it deals with, I had noted myself where like, I guess like if you're doing like, classic horror, you're like, okay, I'm gonna lean into like say more synths, or like some like darker stuff. But
Hmm.
it, like, I was gonna come around to what you had already kind of mentioned where, was it kind of like pushing your limits in terms of like making melodic pieces? Like it's really like heartfelt. It seems like it's blending some really emotional moments with like horrifying trauma. What would you say it's like your most dynamic piece yet?
Oh, absolutely. Like the extremes that I went to on this for this one in general. I haven't done a movie that has had more extremes. Like there are just very sweet, romantic, light things that will like kind of just bring a tear to your eye, and then there's some of the most horrific imagery, probably the most horrific stuff that I've personally worked on,
Yeah.
um, all in the same movie. So there was times where I was looking at the screen, seeing something that was happening, and I'm just like, how do I even like? How can I make this more horrific than it already is just with no score, you know?
Yeah.
And then again, other elements where it's just like very light, very sweet, all within, 95 minutes. So yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, yeah, that like even coming from a somewhat musical background, the idea of scoring a film has always seemed like daunting to me. Where like you see, like when I watch something on screen, and we'll talk later about some movies we've watched recently. But like I'll talk about like like the atmosphere and a lot. I'm an atmosphere guy. Like the music
Hmm.
soundtrack plays a huge role. But like getting that, and you watch the film with nothing, and you're like, oh, that's
Hmm.
my job to then piece something
Yeah.
into it.
It's very easy to mess up. As you can tell, like, there are movies that, we've all watched movies where like the music stands out in a not good way,
Yeah.
and that's the thing that will keep you up at 3 in the morning doing this job is like, man, am I screwing this whole movie up? Like
Yeah.
am I even making this thing better? Like, is it better with, and one of the things that I always come back to is I think of No Country for Old Men, and that is one of the best movies ever made, in my
Yeah, for
opinion.
sure.
One of the most tense movies ever made, one of the most insane movies ever made, and there's not a lick of music in it. And I always come back, I'm like, should there even be music here? Like, should there be
Interesting.
music in
Yeah.
this thing at all? And some scenes, obviously it's obvious there need to be music, but there's other times when I'm like, man, maybe me just not doing something is best for it. But I'm always afraid that I'm
I
gonna,
never thought of that part too, right? Where you decide, I guess, like I mean, obviously you're in collaboration with like other people on the team, but like
yeah,
deciding like, does this moment need silence or does this moment need something like loud going on? Like I just keep
yeah,
thinking of like writing not songs obviously, but like putting like melody or background noise or whatever the case may be. But like you can choose to like keep it minimal as well. I never even thought of that where like that's part of your job as well, where you're like, okay, maybe here there isn't much going on because you want to emphasize something.
yeah. I always like to say that the most powerful tool that a composer has is silence, because that is 100% of the time going to get people to lean in.
Yeah.
Some of the more like one thing that comes to the front of my mind is Green Room.
Mm.
You've seen Green Room, right?
Yeah.
So there's the no spoilers for Green Room, but there's a part with a box cutter, and
Yeah.
if you think about that moment, you would think like, oh, like, all right, music, like we need to, but it's just quiet, and there's just like this little thing that happens, and then it's like, oh my gosh, and there's no music, and it's just horrific.
Yeah.
And I think yeah, sometimes those are the most important things, is knowing when to step back and say, hey, shutting up is the thing to do here. And I'm thankful on Plastic Man to have worked with Sam, because he knows exactly what he wants from music, where some directors are a little more hands off, some directors are a little more, hey, just do whatever you feel. But there were lots of discussions that we had where he's like, I would have 5-6 renditions of a cue, and he's just like, nope, nope, nope. And I'm like, okay, like, and as a composer, I'm thankful for that, because I know that he knows what he wants, and he's not just like, throwing out ideas that he doesn't understand, and, he would have, he would give me feedback that was, sometimes for me hard to hear, because I would work on a piece for a while, and then he would come back and be like, hey, that's not working. Here's why. And I would be like, oh, okay. Like, even though on my end, I'm like, yeah, I just spent a day and a half or 2 days working on that. But now that you say this, I understand that wasn't correct at all. Yeah. So, that's a huge part of the job. And, working with people who are good collaborators in that way is always great. Like, I always love it.
Yeah. I guess the upside to that is, like, if something doesn't work, you put it in the can, you have something there to come back to in a future project if it's fitting, you know what I mean? Obviously you try to tailor things, but like, I was talking to another composer who like was writing for something, and he said that like he had already had a piece, and then when he kind of like, I think he said he just increased like the tempo a bit, and it kind of like, or pitch shifted it or something, and he's like, and it became like this other piece, and it wasn't used before, and now he was like, oh, this works perfectly for this other project. So I guess like, I'm just trying to make you feel better about working a day and a half.
Oh yeah, no, nothing ever goes in the trash. Like, I have an entire external hard drive that I just call unused, and it's just cues that I wrote for things that didn't end up working for those things. So, and I can, you do something with them. I don't know. One of these days, I'll get around to it.
Yeah. I like, oddly enough, like the most cliche thing, but it made me think of like, when we talked about the minimalist approach, it made me think of Halloween 4. And the intro to Halloween 4 is like one of my favorite intros ever. And especially because like he disappeared, there was Halloween 3, and people are like, oh, is Michael Myers going to come back? But the beginning is just like panning shots of like farmer's field. And there's no music. There's no like iconic Carpenter Halloween theme. I think they bring it in much later, and it makes it really eerie. So yeah, I never thought of like the whole like kind of less is more sometimes, or like silence, because that's a prime example for me of like where like you could have like said, oh, Michael Myers is back, and shoehorn that right at the beginning, and they just left it like quiet for the first few minutes. Yeah,
and quiet for the most part, if it's done well, it'll always make the audience lean in. Like, that's why I thought A Quiet Place did so well. The one thing they did so well is the music that's in it is great, but there were so many moments where like you could have had like a little something here, a little something there, but just having it be quiet was the best thing that they could have done. And I'm always a sucker for that when whether it's the director or the composer, when they know when to take the music out and just to have it be nothing. That's always I'm a sucker for that.
So one of the questions that I noted for you, and it's kind of come up indirectly twice, but like, is there a movie that, if there's any one movie, I guess I should say, like that you could score yourself, or like go back and rescore it? Is there? I know it's a big question, right? And it's okay if you spit out a bunch of different ideas, but like, because even in a conversation here, you're kind of commenting on like in this particular scene, did this work and whatnot, but like, now that you're in it and you do this as part of your living as well, is there like a movie that comes to mind that you would love to put your touch on and rescore?
So I think in answering that, for me, that the answer for that would have to be, okay, what's a movie that I felt was held back by the score that I feel like I could improve upon it?
Yeah.
And if I'm honest, there's nothing really that comes to mind of movies where I'm like, man, that was really cool, but the score was not good. There was something recently, and I can't remember what it was. I remember coming home from the theater and telling my wife, like, man, like the music just was weird. And I can't remember what it was. Dadgummit. Yeah, no, I'm not sure. I would say Man,
I guess it's more
so
scenes. It's more scenes than anything. Like it's not necessarily like a maybe like a film in as a whole, but maybe
mm,
like I guess like even from just like kind of our conversation, we're like, yeah, like in this scene they particularly use this, but like yeah, maybe it's more of just like less of like a whole movie needs a remake of a score and maybe just kind of like different scenes that you would have approached differently.
yeah, so I think the way that I would phrase this question for myself in order to give a fun answer would be, what is, as an exercise, what is a scene or a movie that would be fun just to go back, even if I can't do it as good as it was done, just to kind of like play with and do something different.
Chris, I need to send you the
I
questions in advance so you can so you
Oh
can
well, hey,
kind of
we'll do it. We'll do it for the next one. So with that in mind, like I love John Murphy. Like he's one of my favorite composers,
Mhm.
and his score for Sunshine was that was the film that I walked out of the theater saying that's what I want to do.
Mm.
And it was like I'll never forget being in that theater, and it was clear after that I was like, okay, this is a thing that I want to do, and I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'll figure something out.
Yeah.
Um, I don't think I could ever do that score better,
Yeah.
but as an exercise and something fun for me to do, I would love to be able to have that film with no score on it and just play with it and just say, hey, what would be cool here? What would be cool there? And and admittedly, I think, that to me, that's one of the more important movies to me, period. So I would
Mhm.
never live up to what John was able to do, but that would be a lot of fun.
That's cool. Yeah, and that goes in a complete opposite direction of like what I was going for, like in the best possible way, where I'm thinking like there's a movie where you watched and you're like, yeah, it just didn't land for me, and here's what I would
Yeah.
do with it. But then the exercise of taking something you do love and you're like, I could never do, like I can't replace that. It is what it is. That's why you fell in love with scoring film in the first place,
Mhm.
and just for fun, seeing what you would come up with a scene. I really
Yeah,
like
and
that
it's kind
angle.
of almost like it's a similar mindset, but behind like covering a song, where it's like, this is
Ah,
my
okay.
favorite song of all time. I'm going to cover it. It's not the original, like is genius, but I'm going to do a spin on it that is mine. You know, it's not going to be better, but it'll be fun to do. That's kind of the way I would look at it.
In terms of like other projects, so I know Plastic Man has obviously gained a lot of traction, but I feel like you probably have a bunch of things on the go. Is there anything else you can kind of speak to right now that's kind of like has like a release or has like been put out there in the media?
So what's funny is, we were working on the Underoath record most of last year. So normally that would be when I would be working on films that are coming out this year. But I
Yeah.
basically took the entire year off for the most part of doing film so that I could focus on the record. So I don't have anything else coming out anytime soon. I'm about to start work actually on a short from this awesome director named Skylar Brown. It's called Preservation, and it's one of the more unique concepts I've heard in a while. Like we got on a call, and he pitched me the idea for it, and before they had even shot it, and he was like, "Hey, is
Yeah.
this something you would be okay with?" Like, because there's some stuff that happens in it that's depending on who you are, you may not want to be involved in
Okay.
the film.
Yeah.
But I was like, I think it's super interesting. I think it's very cool. Let me know when you're actually working on it. I have a cut of that in my inbox right now, so I'm going
Nice.
to be scoring that this before like the middle of next month, hopefully. So that'll be coming out. Maybe, I don't know, depending on when this airs. Maybe like early 2026. I'm guessing.
Okay.
But yeah, so there's that. But other than that, no, I'm just now starting to wind down my Underoath creative brain, and starting to think about jumping back into film projects. So
Well,
Yeah.
that's why, like, I didn't, I knew you had the album and I figured you were busy. I didn't expect you to have anything. And then, like I said, I watched the Plastic Man trailer. A friend of mine messaged me and was like, sent the trailer and was like, what the hell is this?
Hmm.
And then you put out that you worked on it. And I was like, okay, I'm going to message Chris and
Oh,
then,
nice. Awesome.
and we're going to chat. So yeah, I honestly thought you were so consumed with like the new album that there wasn't going to be anything for a little while. So it's cool that we have this, and then I'm sure you have the short, and you'll get a bunch of other things in there.
Yeah.
A big thing about you and movies is like, and I actually had a good laugh because when you came to Toronto, History, the venue that you played, is attached to a movie theater, and
Hmm.
what better venue for you? I don't know if you ended up watching a movie there, maybe not, but like what better venue to have than attach a a movie theater? Because I know you're a big fan of like grabbing the peanut M&Ms and popcorn and maybe a little something in a flask that shows up in the sample bottle of a whiskey morgue.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know. Like it's, I thought that was the coolest thing. Like when you and I have connected in the past, like you jump into theaters or you're on tour, like you have some time off an afternoon, and that's how you're always up to date with like all these movies coming out and being so relevant. Um, yeah, when that showed up, I was like, this is the perfect venue. Did you watch a movie? Do you remember?
I wasn't able to. That my the schedule that day was crazy. I just didn't have any time,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
I think you guys
Yeah, and
got in.
that
I just caught you after a meet and greet,
mhm.
and it's just yeah, I can imagine it's, and then you're off to the next city and
Yeah, yeah. Normally on show, like that's another one of those things that's cool about supporting versus headlining is when you're supporting, you have so much more time during the day because you have so many less things to do because you don't normally
yeah.
sound check, you don't normally do meet and greets, you don't have all of that stuff. You're more just kind of hanging. So, yeah, I'm going to be catching up. I caught up on a lot of movies after that tour. I think I saw like Barbie on that tour and like maybe
Nice.
like one or two other movies, but I remember specifically being like way behind on that tour, unfortunately. Yeah.
Yeah, it came to mind because I was just like, yeah, here's next door a movie theater. It's literally like the walls are joined with
Yeah.
history there. Um, I want to talk a few new movies, but I've been drinking pretty fast, so I'm gonna pour my
Oh,
last drink for the night, some Knob
hold
Creek.
on.
I think you have a sample
That's
bottle
the
there.
12-year, right?
Yeah, it's a 12 year there.
Yeah, we
So this
got
is the bottle, 12
Ooh.
year, 100 proof, 50%.
Yep.
And yeah, when we talk about your release with the three chord bourbon, this reminds me of that where it's just like, I mean, for a 12-year product, it's like $60.
Oh,
And
wow. Okay.
yeah, it's phenomenal. Like and yeah, the fact that like you're like everyone always goes off about age statements and something anything over 10 years, people get super excited. So the idea that it's, 12 year, 50%, 100 proof and $60 is really hard to beat.
Ooh. I told you about when my brother and I went and watched The Shining, right?
I don't know.
Okay, so you sent me a bunch of these
Yeah.
little guys, and I've been saving most of them for like a special occasion. And our at the theater by my house was doing a classic series, and they were showing The Shining. So I hit
Oh,
my
nice.
brother up because that's like one of our favorite movies. And I was like, "Hey, you want to go see The Shining?" And he was like, "Oh hell yeah!" So we went. It was like a 10 p.m. showing, and I don't remember which ones it was, but I brought two of the ones you sent me. I put them in my pocket, and during the scene at the bar when he gets poured his first drink, I pulled it out of my pocket and I handed it to my brother, and
Oh,
I was like, "Hey," and he was like, "What's this?" I was like, "Oh, something to sip, dude." That's one of my favorite memories. That was so fun and so cool, and it was
dude.
yeah, it was perfect.
I remember you sent me, okay, so you sent me a picture and I think you just mentioned like you had sent me a message and you're like watching The Shining and you sent me a picture of the
Yeah,
sample bottle. But I
yeah.
didn't know that you had waited for the scene and like
Oh
pulled it out
yeah,
and gave it to your brother. And like legit, like probably one of the greatest stories ever shared with me. Like I love sharing whiskey, like you know that. And I'm just like, because like it like the whiskey is almost secondary where we get to like connect and do
yeah.
this and drink whiskey and talk. So to hear that kind of story, and especially with The Shining, which like is like near and dear to my heart as like a classic movie. So thank you. I mean, you sent me a picture of the samples you have left. There's some good ones in there. I'll
Yeah,
tell you
and
which ones to.
yeah, I think I've only drank like three because I have them in my case. So, oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I showed you my tattoo, right,
Yeah,
Danny?
yeah,
Yeah.
that's so cool.
Yeah. It's funny because that was the first horror movie I ever watched because my parents. This was like back in like the late 80s, early 90s, they had recorded a TV showing of it from like the USA
Oh,
Network.
wow.
And so we had that on VHS, and I was allowed to watch it because it was edited for TV.
Okay.
And I remember even just being super little and watching it, and just being like, "What's going on?" You know. And so me and my brother growing up, it was always like a really big deal. So being able to see it in the theater because I had never seen it on the big screen before, neither had he.
Yeah.
And then when that part came up, being able to like drink whiskey with him was it was very cool.
That is awesome, man. Did you know the Stanley has like a whiskey vault? So the Stanley Hotel.
I did not know that.
Okay, so listen, there's like this ongoing joke with like me doing this podcast and even like people who know me, and I'm like, so the Stanley does like single barrel picks, and you can go there have drinks, but they also sell bottles from like the Stanley as like the Overlook Hotels.
Oh, that's cool.
Pick. And I've been in contact with them because I'm like, they don't ship out anything, but I'm like, look, what do I have to pay you to get, like, they had like a Jack Daniels barrel proof single barrel, and on the side it was engraved like all work no play makes Jack a dull boy, like just all down the side of the bottle. And I'm like, never mind some of these like really ritzy expensive bottles. I'm like, that is my special bottle. But I was like, if you're ever in Denver, I guess it's just outside of Denver, like an hour out. I think you did you do Denver on the first leg, I think?
Yes,
I'm
we did.
trying to make an excuse for you to do a detour, because I think for yourself, like to go to the Overlook and get whiskey, like that is like, I have to make a trip of it sometime. And
I didn't even know that they had the whiskey there. That's a whole other excuse to go check that out.
Yeah. It's definitely something on the bucket list that I need to do. So you watched The Shining, like you got to watch a classic movie. I know you're on top of like all new movies, and like before, I'll be conscientious of time here. Before we wrap up, I want to talk about some stuff that we've watched recently. And originally we said we would kind of shoot off some ideas, and we didn't, but that's cool because I'm ready to chat.
What are the things off the top of your head that you've seen recently that you're stoked on or not stoked on or just want to talk about?
Okay, so there's two. When I thought about chatting with you about movies, because like I have to be on top of it, I do the pairings and whatnot. I'm like gushing over Sinners, all sorts, and I know like and I know like the world, for the most part is, but I remember I watched it and it was a movie for the first time in a while. That day I was home and I took a shower. After I made it like it was like a special occasion, I showered, but no, like I watched the movie. I went in the shower and I just sat there and I was like, I have so much I want to write down. I have like, and it's just because I write a lot doing what I do. It's nice when you get this like spark of inspiration or you're moved by something, and yeah, it was like, I mean, I don't know, I don't know where to start, but a couple of things that stood out in terms of like chatting with you about it was like, first of all, I thought it was like, I forgot it was a vampire film for the first half, where I was like, okay, this is an amazing period piece. I would be happy if it was just like a period piece. And then you're like, oh yeah, it is a vampire film, and shit gets weird and all these things happen. But the scoring for that was just like, yeah,
Ludwig
man, I mean,
is
like,
he's a phenom. It's incredible. Like he is the top of the heap at this point. Like I don't think there's anybody that can touch him in that realm. Like there are composers that I personally vibe with more, but if you were to just say, hey, who is the best A-level working composer in Hollywood, like I don't think there's any discussion in my opinion that it's him.
yeah, and the thing is, like, he's talented, but then like again going into more of like a bluesy period piece, and then I think he said he wrote the whole thing originally on guitar. And then there's that obviously that like that one shot of like the juke
Yeah.
joint, and like I got goosebumps, and that was like, I mean, again, the whole film phenomenal, but that was like the one scene where I think I used it in my pairing, and it was just like really like the one scene that moved me. What's weird and interesting is that, so obviously I was interested in writing, I started deep diving. Ryan Coogler said that his inspiration for a lot of the film and like what he kind of communicated to Ludwig is the song "One" by Metallica. Like
Interesting.
he said that and then Lars actually helped Ludwig with certain parts.
I did read about that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't expect that at all. Like, like I felt like that was out of left field, but I thought that was even like more cool that like there was like this like, and it made sense because he was just like overall as an image of like just kind of being like melodic and well paced, and it just being like absolutely chaotic by the time you get to the end. I guess like an overarching
Yeah. I
idea
think
for
that I think that movie in general is it's just really, really well done. And I am so jealous of I know people who went into that movie not knowing it had anything to do with vampires. They were like, oh, there's this Ryan Coogler period piece with Michael B. Jordan playing two characters. Let's go check it out. So they got to have that reveal where they were just like, oh my gosh, what's happening? And I'm like, oh, what I wouldn't give to have that, you know. But I have a funny slash embarrassing story about, I'll tell it. Why not? I'm 2.5 whiskeys in. So
this is the place.
Yeah, so I love watching movies with my kids. And my 16-year-old and my 14-year-old, they really like scary movies, but I'm very particular about what I'll allow them to watch, because like if there's stuff, you know, there's plenty of movies where I'm just like, hey, you're not watching that. Like it's not appropriate, it's not whatever. And I always will watch a movie first before I go see it with them.
Okay.
And they said, hey, we want to go watch Sinners. And it was like opening weekend. So I went on IMDb to check the parents guide, because they have like the, you know, it'll tell you if there's, you know, what the violence is, if there's sexual content and all this stuff. And I looked at like, you know, sex and nudity, and it was just like no nudity. And I was like, oh, okay, well then, you know, it must just be a spooky Western, whatever.
Yeah.
Bro, and I was not prepared. So I took my daughters and then one of their friends. They wanted to all sit in the back, and I'm not a back sitter, so I was like, hey, you guys can go sit back there. I'm going to sit like dead center in the middle.
You couldn't even cover the eyes.
They were so far back there. And there were like 2 or 3 times during the movie where I was getting texts from my daughters being like, what is happening? And I'm like, I didn't know. I felt so bad, but I don't know what it says, but that soundtrack has been on in our house nonstop. They're playing it since we went and saw it. Like they came out there like, oh, we're scarred. Like, you know, half joking, but like, they're like, oh, but then like, for some reason it just really connected with them, and like I always hear them in their rooms listening to the score for that film, and like they'll be in the car and they'll just be like, oh, we gonna make some money, and like they're always like quoting it and stuff, and so it's funny, but I really liked Sinners. Yeah.
Which one of your daughters you went to, like the in Orlando, the horror convention there?
That was the one in. Yeah, we went to that was a convention in Tampa called Spookala. And that was my oldest, my 16-year-old. We went there for that. And what's funny is that convention it's at the Florida State Fairgrounds, which is where we are playing on that Rise Against Papa Roach tour, and we're playing the fairgrounds the day that the convention is happening. So me and my oldest, we're going to be like back and forth between the convention and the show. So
that's crazy, because one of my questions for you was like, are you going to be attending? Because I know you're on tour, and I knew like you had sent me pictures like when she got to meet like Skeet and
And
the
Matthew,
Scream
yeah,
reunion, yeah.
yeah.
Which like cool thing is I'm trying to get something going with those guys because like on a earlier episode, like so the OG Ghostface, Lee Waddell,
Mm-hmm.
big whiskey guy, connected with him. So he was on like the first season of the podcast, and him and I chatted. And like Lillard has his own whiskey now too, Quest End. He
Yeah,
does like
Quest
a
End, yeah.
and
Mm-hmm.
then he has Macabre Spirits, which is like
Mm-hmm.
kind of like the same but different. And yeah, I'm in heaven because like all worlds are just colliding. But
Yeah.
yeah, like I remember you sending pictures of like you're like, okay, I'm at this horror con. And I was like, oh man, like it'd be cool if you got to go again this year. And I'm like, oh, but he's probably on tour and can't go. And it's on the fucking same day. And you're
Yeah,
just
well,
gonna be going back and forth. That's
I'm very
awesome, man. That's
stoked.
so cool.
Total side note, speaking of
Yeah.
Matthew Lillard, have you seen Life of Chuck?
No.
Bro, there has not been a movie. I mean, I love Mike Flanagan in general. Like
Yeah.
basically anything he does, I'm in on.
Yeah.
That movie hit me like a ton of bricks. Like didn't stop talking about it for a week after seeing it.
Yeah.
And Matthew Lillard has a small part in it that is hands down the best thing he's ever done. Like he has this monologue that is just dude, never seen him do anything like it. I couldn't believe it. So if you're I really recommend checking it out. It's very interesting.
This is why I'm glad we connect because I have that on like my list of like to watch, and and it's crazy because like I enjoy Flanagan. Anything he does, like again, like whether it's
Yeah.
like the TV series or whatnot, and like he's even collaborated with friends of mine in like the No Sleep podcast, which I'm like a huge fan of. And I'm like, why haven't I watched that yet? It's like it's just been getting like pushed back. I don't even know why. I couldn't even tell you why that like hasn't been something
It's
that I made
it's
an attempt to
divisive.
watch.
It's divisive. Like I know people who didn't like it at all.
Yeah.
And they all bring up valid points, but that's a movie that in the time that I saw it, it just there's movies like that where you're like, hey, I can see that there's flaws, but it just completely connected. I don't even really want to say what the video was because it'll kind of be a spoiler for the movie, but
Okay.
this Instagram video, because there's a lot of like mystery in the film about like what's happening and
Okay.
why things are happening, but there's this video that I saw on Instagram, and after I watched it, I literally put my phone down and I just sat at my desk for like 10 minutes. Like it really like snapped stuff into perspective, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like
Yeah.
it just hit me like a ton of bricks, and like I got like emotional, and it was really weird. And then there's literally like the same theme and the same idea that was hammered home in the movie later on that night that I went to see with my wife as well. So like I was already having a day where there was this, it kind of felt like God or the universe or whatever was kind of like like pointing a flashlight at a particular thing and be like, hey, like don't forget about this,
Yeah.
And Flanagan is really good at, I think, just like life stuff. And like if you watch any of his, like if you watch Haunting a Hill House or the what's the Midnight Club, I think did it really well as well. Just very like human, connecting to people and like really getting a sense of like what it is to be alive and do this whole thing. And yeah, you should hit me up after you watch it.
I definitely will. What was the and people will take out pitchforks for this. The last like so he did Hill House and then I know he did Midnight Club, but what was the one with the like the preacher on the island?
Midnight Mass.
Midnight Mass. Oh man, like when you talk about like what life means and I got some insight that like it was he wrote that dealing with like addiction to alcohol and here you and I are having some drinks but no like just like on like some of the final parts of the show and without giving much away, I'm sure many people have watched it, but still like being on that like canoe or that boat in the middle of the ocean, like I remember I'm pretty sure I cried watching certain scenes. So yeah, Flanagan just like hits home with in terms of like
Oh,
he can decorate it with go. You can like have fun and look for ghosts and scenes and do all that, but it really is the human experience at the forefront.
Yeah. Yeah, Midnight Mass I think is, in my opinion, probably in the top 5 TV shows of all time. Like
Yeah.
I could like the I don't want to like spoil it for anybody who hasn't seen it, but there's a scene with like a knife and wings at one particular point,
Yeah.
and like that I was just like, oh my gosh, like dude,
Yeah.
it's phenomenal. But yeah, so watch Life of Chuck when you can devote some time to it and check it out. And again,
I
it's
just
not
finishing up my
perfect,
summer
but
school
yeah.
course.
Okay.
I teach, so I'm doing right now in July. I do an online course just to keep busy and stay out of trouble. But I have a lot of time coming up, so you're gonna get a long-winded response after I watch
Nice.
Life of Chuck. But I do get that whole like the idea of like, and I guess it's why if you want to connect dots, like when someone comes up to you and is like, this album means the world to me, and here's where I was at. Like I guess you can kind of see it where like
Oh,
you're like, oh,
absolutely.
like I made a song that I was just jamming to and it was cool, but for you, it was like a certain moment in time and what was going on in life. And like, yeah, it felt like that flashlight, I guess how you said that analogy of like, yeah, like whether it be God or whatever it might be, that kind of shedding a light on something and be like, hey, remember this moment for this reason. And that's why it sticks with someone and resonates.
Yeah, and I say that all the time because, like, it might sound. I mean this in like the least prick way that it can be taken, but like I hear that fairly often where people will say like, "Hey, this album means this to me," or "This song means that to me," or "I connected with this album, during this point in time," and I always take that as a I just look at the albums that I would say that to the member of the band, and I have like even semi recently, like I've met members of bands where I'll say like, dude, like this album means this to me, like, and I recognize that even saying it, they're not understanding how important,
Of course.
it is. But that I think that kind of helps me to be able to receive that when somebody says it to me. If they're like, "Hey, this album got me through this," or "It got me through that," like in my brain, like you said, it's just like, well, I just wrote this album with my friends and we love these songs and we think they're really fun to play, but it means something more to you. So, if I were to meet, Mike Flanagan and talk to him about Life of Chuck, I would talk to him about how important that was, and to him, he would be like, "That's really cool. Thank you very much for saying that."
Yeah.
But like me, I would be like, "Wait, no, you don't get it. Like it's it's a big deal, Or there's been plenty of bands that I've met or that we've toured with that I've had those discussions with, and I'm like, I know that you don't get it because you can't, but it means a lot, and I just kind of leave it at that. So yeah.
I think it's always cool and it's like very humbling, right? It's like, the same way, like I said, people will line up and tell you these stories. It's like we all have that. We all have like those albums and those connections. So I think it's cool that you at least have that like perspective. So like when someone's sharing that with you, you kind of draw it back to yourself and think about you sharing that with an artist you admire and an album.
Yeah. And I always say that too, because, I recognize that I'm not going to be able to understand that impact from that person, but I always tell them like, I will take that as fully as I can, but also know that I understand what you're saying because I just met this guy and I tried to explain the same thing to him and he didn't get it, but it meant that much to me. So yeah.
Yeah. So in terms of like, so you mentioned like Life of Chuck, but is there anything else that you wanted to like throw out there in terms of movies you watched? I know we somehow I knew when we get into movies we just keep going, but
I love it. It's my favorite thing. I absolutely had a blast with the new Final Destination movie.
Yes.
Like I loved it so much. I went and saw that with my daughters as well. And it's actually the first Final Destination movie that they ever saw. They hadn't seen any of the other ones before.
Cool.
And because I was going to see it and they were like, "Hey, can we go see that?" And I was like, yeah, this is, like the the 90th one in the franchise,
Yeah.
but they're like, well, are we going to miss anything? And I was like, there will probably be like Easter eggs that you won't get,
Yeah.
but here's the gist of what happens, and they got it. So,
You're like, and it won't be
since
Sinners.
yes, yeah, very like, all right, I'm not going to make that mistake again. But I knew Final Destination. I was like, oh, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
But I had such a blast with that. I was laughing and like, it was great. I loved it. And kind of like on the complete opposite end, one of my favorite ways to watch movies is to have my AirPods in with the Apple TV and like watch a movie in bed with like the sound like really loud, like
Yeah.
it feels like cozy. And I didn't know anything about Presence, but I had heard that it was good, so
Yeah.
I watched that. I think it was like a week or two ago, and man, like I didn't understand the premise. Like I didn't know what I was getting into, but within the first like 10 minutes, I was like, oh, I see what this is. Have you seen it yet? Presence?
No, Presence is also on the to watch list, but I haven't watched it.
Hey, do you know the premise? Do you know what it
No,
is,
nothing.
what it
Like
is?
that is one movie where like a friend recommended and said like you need to watch this, and that's all like other than you need to watch this, it just gets added to like the list of like what I try to like work through. But this is why I enjoyed chatting with you because I
Okay.
always leave with homework, and we'll come back to homework you left me with last time. But yeah, Presence is definitely on the list.
Yeah, so that's one that I recommend, and it's something that I've never seen before, which is always always such a treat when because I there's a I don't know if you want to call it a gimmick, but there's a gimmick that the movie has, and I didn't know what it was, and then like 10 minutes into the movie I was like, oh, I see what this is, and I was
Mm,
like in it. I was so stoked on it. But it was, yeah, it was a very particular experience, and I loved it. I thought it was great. The conceit's really cool. Again, don't read anything about it,
yeah,
just
yeah.
watch it. And yeah, I'm interested to hear what you think.
I'm even weary about trailers sometimes, like just because like I really like going into things like blind, like we talked about Sinners. Like I knew it was a vampire film, but I didn't know much, so like it had
Hmm.
still some of that same effect that you had mentioned. Like you wish you kind of got that completely like unknowing effect of like what's gonna happen, like when the vampire elements first introduced in that
Yeah.
particular scene, like it like was effective. But yeah, I personally just like try to avoid all kind of like stuff online and any of that. I wanted to say like Final Destination Bloodlines. I wrote down that if there's any way to like treat a franchise, like I feel like they did it so well.
Yeah.
And then it was and then again we talk about like crying moments, like Tony Todd's
Oh yeah.
speech there, and then they even said like well, you can ad lib what you would say because they knew he was dying, and you
Hmm.
know, and he gave his little speech there, and I'm just like, man, what a great way to like. I love like it's fun to again, you know, if, here let's connect dots. Okay, here's my pairing mind, like Under Oath, in terms of like, you guys are like Final Destinations Bloodlines, where it's like
Okay.
you can give nods to the past, you know, like where there's enough to like be like, okay, like this is who we are, and that's always
Hmm.
going to be there. But like, so there's like some like kind of like you know like a wink and a nudge there, but then also just like so innovative with moving forward. And I feel like Bloodlines is exactly that, where you're like, okay, it's very Final Destination, but at the same time, it's so like fun, and they're doing their own thing, and it's like it
Hmm.
is a fresh like new installment. And I haven't seen I Know What You Did Last Summer, but I feel like that's where like everyone will
Me
always be
neither.
divided. We talk about like all of us millennials, we're all going through the same movies, the same bands, and we're like, okay, like where where do we
Yeah.
stand? Is the new stuff good, and what are they doing? And I think that's a perfect example. And like yeah, for me, like Final Destination was one that I noted where I'm just like, if a lot of franchises approached like their franchise with the same kind of mindset, I feel like there'd be a lot more success. Like it just felt fun. It felt like it was self-aware. It was very
Hmm.
self-aware. It knew what it was, but then presented new stuff. And yeah, it
Yeah.
was super cool.
Yeah, no, I liked it a lot. Yeah, it was just fun, and it knew what it was. It wasn't trying to be anything it wasn't. It wasn't trying to, you know, get super deep on the themes or anything. It was just like, hey, like we're gonna show some fun kills, and it's gonna be silly and stressful. And yeah, I
Yeah.
loved it. Did you see Bring Her Back?
Yeah. So that was the second movie that I had noted because of you, and I'll tell you why. Um, when we first spoke, what was the movie that you had mentioned to me? You were really into at the time. Speak No Evil. Okay,
Yeah,
so and this
the
reminded
original one
me
or the U.S. one?
the original.
Okay,
Funny
yeah.
thing is in our conversation, you want to talk about like manifesting things. I had made a comment because like I hadn't seen it yet. You gave me the homework. Again, this seems to be like a common practice here. And I said, you know what, because you mentioned that I forget where the original was made. And I said, I hope the American market doesn't take it and botch it because that's what they did with like Goodnight Mommy and all those films. And sure enough, I mean, that's a whole other topic. But like the original I love, and because of you, I watched it. But coming back to
Hmm.
what you asked, like Bring Her Back made me feel the same way. It
Yes.
was very bleak. It was hard to watch. When we
Yeah.
talk about again being a parent, um, I actually watched it again this morning.
Ugh.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
I actually didn't make it through the whole thing.
Yeah.
And like not to get like super like emotional, but like yeah, it just like messed with me in a certain way that like it's beyond horror film talk. Like again, you talk about slashers or like fun like Final Destinations and like Bring Her Back. I'm just like, yeah, I don't know. It hits a nerve with me that like kind of Speak No Evil did the original. So yeah,
Hmm.
it was like when again thinking about talking with you, the two movies that came to mind were Sinners and Speak No Evil.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, and
So yeah,
Bring Her Back. Sorry.
yeah. Bring Her Back for me. It's weird because like I love Talk to Me so much. Like it's fun. It's inventive. It's uh brutal. It's like all of these things kind of together, and there's like an excitement to it with like the
Yeah,
young cast and like the way that it's shot and the spirit of it is very it was very fresh.
yeah,
um Bring Her Back, I have a hard time recommending it to people. Like,
hmm,
so my thing with Speak No Evil is I'm like, if you're a particular type of film lover, you will love Speak No Evil. Because one,
yeah,
like the tension that it's able to draw, the writing is insane, the cinematography is great, the score is unbelievable, but it just goes to a really bleak place.
yeah,
And I feel like Bring Her Back for me is it goes to an almost equally bleak place, but to me the other stuff doesn't justify it as much. I
yeah,
do think that I think the score is great. I think it looks great. You know, it does things that I thought were really interesting. Performances are awesome. It's just I don't know why it is. I just have a harder time recommending it. Like I feel like it's just yeah, it's dour,
yeah,
and but undeniably done amazing, like it you
yeah.
can't deny. If I didn't know who had done it, I would be like, who did this movie? Like I said, I want to watch what they're going to do next. I hope it's not so hard to watch, but
Yeah.
there are things in that I'm never gonna forget. Like the scene with the melon and the knife, like that's
Yeah.
something on in the table, the edge of the table. Like never gonna get that stuff out of my head. But then like the last shot in the pool I'm just like, and then like the scene with the puddle with the brother, I'm just like, come on. Like I'm not at a point, because I know some people would watch a movie like that and just be pissed at it. They're like, oh, why are you doing this or why are you doing that? Like, I'm like, I get it. And, more power to you. It's just, it's not something I'm going to watch again, but,
and it's funny. Because like, that's exactly it, is that like, I watched it. Now mind you, like, I remember I watched it one night where like, I didn't know if I'd make it through a movie. Like, Nora, my daughter, was up kind of on and off. And so today, like, because it came to mind, I was like, well, like, let me think of like what I mentioned to Chris and like what I've watched recently that kind of like has like left something with me. And I tried to watch it and I got a quarter of the way through. And I'm like, I can't do this again. Like, I can't bring myself to go through that again. And again, like, it's perfectly said that I respect it. I commend it for what it is. But like, yeah, it's a tough one to be like, yeah, hey, like, you should definitely go watch, like, anything else you do with me where like, yeah, you need to go out and watch this film. Like, that one there, it's like, yeah, man, it gets really like bleak and dark in like ways that are like a little bit unnerving at times, like with those scenes that you mentioned. And yeah, I like starting it up again. I didn't expect that much emotion to like surface. I was like marking and doing some final wrap up stuff, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna put it on the background just in case we talk about it to remember what happened. And I just turned it off. I was like, I can't go back through this again. It's definitely not a casual. I'm marking final essays.
Yeah. You I'm assuming you saw 28 Years Later?
Haven't.
Really? Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Well,
and that is like the one where I was actually supposed to go in theater and watch it when it came out, and something came up. But like, I doing what I do on like my account, even though I try to avoid things, I'm bombarded with reviews and like other accounts I follow who are like creators and whatnot. And I know there's like a lot of like polarizing stuff, and then everyone keeps talking about the ending and like kind of like struggling with like the ending. So, but you know what? Like, that being said, if there's one thing that I can speak to, sometimes when I hear people kind of like struggling with certain parts of a film, it entices me more to watch it. I'm almost the reverse. Like, you remember when everyone like read Da Vinci Code, and like people you thought couldn't read Da Vinci Code, and then and you're like, I'm not reading Da Vinci Code because you're like, I'm like, I studied English lit. Like, dude, like I enjoy good literature, and my friend who like, barely got his credit in English, like said it was the best book ever. I'm like, I'm not reading.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'm like that with horror, or like with movies. I should just say movies in general, where like once people are like struggling with things, or like, like an ending is like divisive or polarizing, I'm like, yeah, I'm more interested. So another one that I want to watch.
That's funny because like a friend of mine, me and him are going to see Eddington tomorrow night.
Nice.
And we just keep texting each other because neither of us have seen a preview. Like, neither of us watch previews, but there are these like very divisive takes online where people are like, oh, like, this is the worst movie I've ever seen, or like, oh, I was in a screening with 15 people and 10 of them walked out. And then other people are like, this is the best movie that's come out all year. And like, we just keep sending these things back and forth. They're like, well, we know this thing's going to be, it's going to be something, and it's not going to be down the middle. So I'm very excited to see that tomorrow night, because he is, Ari Aster is a director that I will see everything he does in the theater. Within the first week of it being out, because he's just that good, and I think he earned that with Hereditary. And yeah, I mean, Beau is Afraid. You see Beau is Afraid?
Yeah, Beau is Afraid is excellent.
Yeah. It's I have mixed feelings about it. I think particularly because it's so many different movies in one. I feel like, but that first like 45 minutes is so phenomenal, and there's so many other things that happen in it that I'm like, I don't even know if I necessarily would give it a positive review on the whole, but there's
Yeah.
so much going on that I'm like, you have to see this. Like anybody who asks
Yeah.
me about it that hasn't seen it, I'm like, you got to watch it. Like you
Yeah.
can't not watch it. And yeah, so
But
I'm
but
really stoked.
that's his one album, right? Like that's his
Yes.
that's exactly that. We're like, okay, like there's things that you admire and you kind of like can commend that, like what's being tried out. You're not sure if it kind of sits well with you, but yeah,
Yeah, but
I
at the
think
end of the day, it's like I know that he is a director that I align with, similar to bands, going back to like
yeah,
Deftones and Nine Inch Nails, where it's like I know that we have a very similar scope of what we like, and what they tend to do tends to connect with me in some way. So even the stuff where it's like, yeah, this works, but this kind of doesn't. It's like I can't wait for the next one to come out, and yeah, he's just yeah, he's insane. So yeah, I'm stoked to see that.
the last movie that like came to mind was Heretic. Like
Yeah,
that and like man, I again like not necessarily that overall I think it was like the best movie, but like I guess like even like the first half.
it's super refreshing.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
and just to see Hugh Grant in like that role, and
yeah,
like I talk about we talk about like minimal stuff, like when he mentions the blueberry pie, and
yeah,
then they see the candle, spoiler, but
yeah.
they see like the candle, and you're just like, oh shit, like this is like much darker, and he's just like, it's funny because I watched Hugh Grant in Willy Wonka with my daughter, and
Hmm.
he's the Oompa Loompa. And then I watched Heretic, and then he's in that role. And I was just like, right now I'm in this place where I love like people delving in and having fun with horror movies.
Hmm.
Ethan Hawke's made his return, and like I feel like yeah, it's just like there's so much that can be done,
Yeah,
and
like Barbarian. Like
oh yeah,
no spoilers for Barbarian, but I went into that not seeing any previews, and I thought I knew what the movie was, and then halfway through it's like, oh shoot, that's not what this is at all. Like
yeah,
I'm loving that. And his he directed Weapons that's coming out, right?
yeah.
Yeah, I'm very stoked on that.
Yeah, there I feel like we're in a place where if there's a good way to kind of like pull things together, like in terms of like the horror genre, I feel like there's, before people used to kind of like give like a smug look to like the idea of like elevated horror, but I feel like there's so many different like versions of like horror that we're getting, even down to like Plastic Men, and where you realize like there's a lot more that you can unpack, whether it's like silly and fun or super like dark, bleak, and meaningful. But like seeing really professional, talented actors willing to take on like certain roles
Hmm.
and do projects like this makes it. I feel like we're like really entering this really like nice era of thriller horror.
Yeah, and like it's been a great couple years for horror in general, and I hope that continues, and as long as studios keep being wise and recognizing, like, hey, if we give these directors at least a decent budget to do something, there it's more than likely going to at least make its money back. That's been that even movies that I'm like, yeah, it's like okay, but like seeing horror movies, get a wide theatrical release and then make their money back opening weekend, I'm just like,
Yeah,
okay, great, that's a win, and as long as they continue to, at least be pretty good, because we saw, back in like the mid 90s, there was just so much slop, and it was not
yeah,
not good. And then finally, Scream came around, and it's like, oh, okay, like horror can be good and make a lot of money. So
yeah.
yeah, it's an exciting time. I'm the fact that there are so many movies that I want to see in the theater is like, yeah, I'm such a nerd. I'm so stoked on it.
That's always a good sign. Is like how many bags of like peanut M&Ms are you gonna go through?
Well, to be fair, peanut butter M&Ms are the premier M&M, but
Okay,
they're
so it's
not
peanut. It's
sold.
not even just peanut. It's peanut butter.
Well, yeah, I prefer peanut butter, but they almost don't sell them anywhere around here. Like they in movie theaters anyway. All movie theaters have peanut M&Ms, so
Yeah.
that's a very solid choice. But if there's peanut butter M&Ms, that just bumps it up another 20%.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna now be like scouring the market for peanut butter M&Ms.
Yeah, tomorrow night at about this time, I will have my popcorn and the M&Ms, and I'll be watching Eddington. So,
Nice.
yeah,
So thank you so much, man, for coming on the show. For everyone listening, let us know what you liked about the show. Let us know what you're watching. Let us know what you're drinking. I always love hearing pairings. And I always say like let us know what you want to hear on like future episodes. So Chris, thanks again for doing this, brother. And we'll talk again soon, hopefully in person. And if you have a day off, I'll invite you over for dinner so you can have a home cooked meal, man.
there we go. I'll take it. Thanks for having me, man.
Cheers,
Appreciate it.
brother. See
All
ya.
right.